Straight out the boot room to Wembley, our second home. We come to conquer, no, we never walk alone. We dominate the cream of the crop, drawing all our strength from the roar of the cock. It's all for one and one for all. Pass a move, we're talking total football. Here we go again, Roy's red machine. Liverpool, the greatest team the world has ever seen. Pass a move, it's the Liverpool crew. Pass a move, it's the Liverpool crew. Pass a move, 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 it's the Liverpool crew.
Hello and welcome back to the Liverpool Groove. Pre-season's done. We finished it off with a 3-1 win over Darmstadt at Deepdale yesterday. Performance overall, I felt was good. Their goal that they scored, I wasn't happy at all with, to be honest. I thought that was a poor goal to concede. But I'd say overall, I think we played well. The new lads look like they're really settling in. Yeah, I was happy with it. I thought we played well. I thought we looked good on the ball. We were moving it really well. McAllister and Szoboszlai, as I say, getting into these pockets, just finding players. It's just, I think the starting lineup is very good.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, I'd still like to find that whole midfielder, but I think McAllister played there yesterday. He looked like he fitted there. So we've discussed that position a number of times, where the likes of the difference between like an Alonso and a Fabinho. Alonso is more like McAllister, can nick the ball back and spray a pass. He was enjoyable to watch. Szoboszlai has now got an engine on him. I think the football we played going forward, slick, one-touch passing like we were used to under Klopp, getting in behind, they just played some lovely football. Gakpo coming in deep to receive the ball and then playing 1-2s. It just all sort of clicked going forward. But as you say, that one attack they had, that literally drained me of all enthusiasm for the game. As soon as that ball went through, and I just thought, here we go. These teams shouldn't be scoring against us. They shouldn't even be getting shots on goal, really, for that standard. But it's just the same story over and over again with that defence. It just cut open time and time again. It annoyed me. It sort of made me dad, my brother-in-law, his dad, my little nephew, we just sat there. And as soon as that goal went in, it sort of like killed the mood for us a little bit. Because to be fair, we all had a bet on and it was all to nil. We had 5-0, 6-0, 4-0. Little Steve, he's only 6. He was nearly crying because Salah scored the first because he had jotted on his bet. So it was a friendly. It's exactly what it was. It was like a pantomime. It was a chance for families and kids that don't usually go to the game to get in there. There was like, I think I spotted about 40 signs. Can I have your shirt? It was like being at the wrestling. There was, when the players were warming up and that, there was just, it sounds like being on a school playground. And I'm not even exaggerating. There was just kids screaming to the players and, can I have your top? Like, just some of them just wanted a wave and acknowledgements, and fair play to the players. They gave it like, so it was nice to see that kids that probably would never go to the game get a chance to go. You know what the system's like. But yeah, overall performance, it was good. It was interesting.
Yeah. Their goal, and I'll come on to where you're saying it was interesting there to try and sort of get what you mean about that. But their goal, obviously, one ball over the top, and we were done. Do you think we need to start fucking this high line off?
It's hard because obviously where the high line is where we win the ball back to attack, but there's no like plan for if the pass doesn't work out. There's no like insurance policy of if it doesn't quite go right, if the pass doesn't get made or the tackle doesn't get made. There's no insurance for what's going to happen to us, and it literally is it just keeps happening. If we don't win that ball or we don't press quite fast enough, that ball comes over the top. Sometimes it's from a centre half to their attacker, and they're in all the time. So, not necessarily sack the high line off, but have security that if it doesn't work, there's another body there to get in. There was times yesterday where we'd like misplace a pass, and even Kanate being their half, and the only one in the circle in our half was Van Dijk, and Robbo's right up the left, Trent's right up the right. You've got Kanate in the middle, and then there's no shape at the back when we go forward. There's none. We don't keep a structure. And I was trying to watch it. You've got Trent going like I don't understand his position. He is left, right, and centre. He's like a free roller, if you could say. Got the free roller of the midfield from right back. It's like, again, I thought Canate weren't great yesterday. Yeah, I've got concerns about Canate. I don't think he's ready for that role, but I feel sorry for him. Like I felt sorry for Gomez. Like I felt sorry for Mata. That whoever's playing on that right side has got to do two jobs, and it's impossible.
I think that's what people don't realise, what we're going to miss with Henderson, because for all the shit he got, and you know, like we always say, he wasn't the most spectacular footballer in the world, but he worked hard and he always gave 110%. But what he did offer a lot of was support down that right when Trent was bombing forward. He'd drop in and become a right back almost. So unless we're going to tell someone to go and do that job, that right side is going to be the basis of a lot of attacks still. If we are going to adapt to this sort of three at the back system when we've got the ball, it might help a little bit. But I think, we're missing that support on the right with no Henderson there, because he was the only one who ever seemed to do it. Anyone else playing on that right side of midfield never seemed to offer that same support.
It was like a designated role for Henderson, that his job was to cover Trent. Now, even Curtis Jones just spoke, saying like he struggled with the defending part of the mentality, where when we haven't got the ball, he didn't want to work as hard, basically. And now he's learning that part of his game, and he's a young lad, and I think every young lad's like that. If you see lads playing in the park, when you've got the ball, you're gung-ho, aren't you, when you haven't? Stopping. Just the way we are in our heads. If it looks like it's positive, happy days. When it's negative, you pack in. But they've got to designate a role to somebody to do it, or bin it, because I don't think that the benefits of Trent going forward outdoes the negatives of him not getting back. So I think, like when we won the league, we won the Champions League, we won trophies, Trent wasn't going into midfield. Trent was playing right back. Trent was bombing up the wing and putting the ball in the box that way, playing 1-2s with the midfield and getting to the corner flag area and whipping the ball across the box, or from deep within our half from the right, whipping the ball into the box. So I don't get what's changed. He's a fantastic player. We've raved about him. He's looked brilliant in that position. And when he's on his game, like he's better. He's as good as anyone in a midfield role. But I don't think it doesn't help our defence. We're gonna have to score 4 or 5 goals a game, and you've got teams like them scoring against you with ease like that. Like imagine, what are we gonna do against the likes of City and Arsenal and that? It's gonna be hard. Newcastle, who've got rapid players, who that's all they do: sit on the halfway line and go. As soon as you get it, whack it up.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing now, is the teams like your Cities and your Arsenals and your Uniteds and sort of to a lesser extent your Chelseas and stuff like that, they're not going to press us as much as they did, because they're more wary of what we can do going forward. If they press us and it doesn't work, they're fucked. They know that. You had Zinchenko talking about Salah being the hardest player he's ever faced in his career, because you give him a little bit of space and you're done. And so these big teams, they won't want to do that. They don't want to give Salah that space. So I think this system will work better against the bigger teams, to be honest. It's the smaller teams who've got nothing to lose. Your Forests, your Lutons, all these teams who are going to be willing to press, I say, got nothing to lose. They're expected to get battered. So might as well just fucking go for it, you know what I mean? I think they're the teams that the system won't work against as much. I think it'll fare better against the bigger teams.
Well, that's a good take on it. I just think in terms of talent, I think if the ball drops to De Bruyne in his half and he's going to just whack it forward for Haaland, I think that's where the danger lies. Goes against the top teams, the quality that we're facing. But no, you're right. To be fair, when it is always a fucking closer game, it's more of a game of chess when we play the top teams. But I just think it's like having less pieces if you were playing chess. Do you know what I mean? I think there's too many gaps now. There's an opportunity. I think it's looking like when we had Rodgers as manager. That's what the defence is like. Is that the defence isn't structurally great. The system isn't great for the defence, but going forward, we could annihilate anyone. We've just got to score more than them, and that's where we're at the minute, I think. And I don't know what fixes it, because even yesterday, McAllister played brilliant as the 6, but that pass still happened. That the defence still got. So I don't think it's a case of, is it just the right back problem? I think the high line's part of the problem. I think the right back not being there is part of the problem. 3 at the back when we lose the ball, when none of them are in our half, is a problem. So I think it's a system thing, but the frustrating part is that the manager's not putting his finger on it and not doing anything about it, and it's been this way for 18 months.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest concern, is that there's no, it looks like there's no desire to change it. I think he's fixated on Trent playing this, they call it the hybrid role, which I don't, I despise. You're just playing in midfield from right back, that's what I call it. But no, that he's fixated on that happening, and I'd rather him just say, right, Trent, we're signing right back, you're now midfielder, and we'll go back to the system we knew and what we won with.
Yeah. To be honest, though, I think it showed in the past that Trent playing as an out-and-out midfielder isn't effective. Like, he tried it for England at very first, didn't he? And Klopp called Southgate out for it. It didn't work then, I think. I think we tried a game where Trent was the lone sort of 6, and it was a shambles. So I think Trent being an out-and-out midfielder isn't the way. I think it feels like at the minute he's kind of, I don't know, maybe he's tried to use Trent as a sort of 6 for the time being, and at the end of last season maybe he knew Fabinho was going to be going, and I don't know, maybe it's until we get a recognised number 6 in Lavia, if that is going to happen, then Trent's going to be playing a hybrid role. Maybe when that number 6 comes in, Trent's just back to right back. You know what I mean?
I don't even think he's playing the 6 though, lad. He's like sort of everywhere in the midfield. He just goes where the ball is, and I think that, as you say, he's not actually a centre mid. He's not doing the job of a centre mid. He's not pressing the ball and winning the ball back like a centre mid. He's just basically getting a free roll when we're in possession. Give Trent the ball and he'll make something happen. But then the rest of his game in that role, he's not contributing much. His job is just to do something on the ball and not very much without it, which I don't see how that works. At times, it's like playing with 10 men, and that's not Trent's fault, that's the system's fault.
Yeah, no, it is. It's I don't know. It's a difficult one, and I think until we get the rest of the signings done that we want to do this window, because I don't believe it stops with one. I don't believe it stops with Lavia again if he is the next one. Which there was reports last night that we'd made a 4th bid straight away after the 3rd one. Like so, we'll discuss that a bit in a minute. We've discussed it a lot on previous ones anyway, but with the new sort of bits happening, we'll discuss it a little bit again today. But you mentioned before about yesterday's performance that it was interesting. What did you mean by that?
I was interested in the start 11, because obviously we were hoping what we seen was going to be what starts against Chelsea, and obviously then we concede that goal, and you're thinking, is this going to be what it's like against them? Going forward, the performance itself was interesting, and it looked like our old selves going forward. But then, as I say, it looked like Brendan Rodgers going back at the back. So yeah, it was just interesting to see what it was like with Virgil as captain. It was not very statement-like. I wanted us to go out and make a statement, and we never really thought we were going to put like 6 or 7 past them. But then again, you're not going to overexert yourself in a friendly Deepdale, are you?
No.
So the whole atmosphere was interesting. It was like a panto. I thought there was going to be people shouting, "He's behind you" at times. It was mad. Their fans were brilliant. That was interesting. They were fighting themselves at one point. Their fans are friendly. When saying there's no emphasis on interesting really. Just it was interesting to see. It was exciting. Excited to see what we were going to play, how we were going to play. But it was interesting in the sense I think Klopp's got a headache. Certainly after the second half, he's got a major headache, absolute major headache after the second half, which we were discussing a bit. But I think he's got to know there's a few problems there. And that's the main interesting point for me, is that based on that performance, based on seeing how good we are going forward and how weak we are at the back, he's got to move soon in this market. If you can get someone signed in the next 2 days who might be able to play against Chelsea, then you've got to try and do it. But say we're discussing Lavia in a bit, this whole nonsense of 42, 43, 44 million, whatever, is fucking stupid if we're going to end up paying that 50 million anyway.
Well, I said this on Twitter last night. I said it's making us look amateur. And I don't get me wrong, I haven't had a problem with the approach of it because, like I say, if you start going into teams and just going, how much do you want? And they go 60 mil. And we go, yeah, all right. Then it's just fucking stupid. Unless it was like, you know, Szoboszlai is different. Because I think 60 was like, look, it's good, pay this now. Otherwise, once that expires, it's 80 mil. So his price would have only gone up. That's the difference with him, I think. But I think at the minute, it's like, so let me ask you this. I said, I think it makes us look worse if we were willing to pay the 50 all along. I think it makes us look stupid in the sense that we've gone 42, 44, 46. If we then just go, all right, yeah, we'll pay the 50. I think that makes us look stupid, and it's given us less time with the player that we needed to bed him into the squad.
Yeah, I agree, lad. But like you said on the last one, it's a negotiation, so you're going to try everything you can to get him, even if they save 500 grand. They'll feel like they've won a bet. It's a game. It's a game to businessmen. It's like when you buy a house, you know, they're asking for 135 grand for this house, but you're going in at 125 to save yourself 10 grand. There's your refurb done. Oh no, actually, you want 135. Oh, go ahead then. 126. No, 135. Oh, go on. 128. And eventually, you're that desperate to get the house, you just go, fuck it, 135.
Yeah.
And time goes on. You could have moved in at Christmas, but you'd end up moving in summer. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, it is a negotiation. In terms of, obviously, it's different. It's football. We could have done with Lavia in, but I don't think he makes a massive difference to the team straight away. I think if it would have been Casado, I think it would have been a case of, what are you asking for? Do we want him that much? Fucking pay it. Get him in. Get him bedded in. He's going to start. So I think that's the difference with Lavia. He's not going to really. I don't think he starts for us. I don't think he gets near the first 11 straight away. Even I'd go as far as saying Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Thiago, Pacetic will probably all start ahead of him because he's brand new, because it's going to take time and he'll have to learn it. The tricks of the trade at Liverpool before he gets near that pitch for me. But yeah, I think if we end up paying the 50 mil, it shows you the intent of Klopp. It shows the intent of the club that we really want this player, and we just try to cut a few corners to save a few quid, which is the right way to go about business. But it's just dragging its feet. A bit frustrating for us as fans, isn't it? Because we want him in, we want it confirmed, and we want to move on to the next one.
That's it. I mean, and I said that last night, and I think someone pointed it out that they're probably working on multiple deals, you know, at the same time, which is probably true. But all we're hearing about is Lavia, so that's all we can comment on.
That's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. No, that's why I'm not panicking. And as time goes by, and like you want something done, like the next week or something. You don't want to be going to deadline day and your ass is hanging out, then you're flapping, because we do need players, we need bodies. That bench yesterday, even barring one or two, there's nothing. We've got no squad depth, lad. We really haven't. We need to bring in a few players where, you know, you've got to give kids a chance, and there's a reason why with some of them are exceptional. But you can't be relying on kids. You can't be relying on like the likes of Elliott and Jones, Pacetic, because it's like there's too much inexperience. If you were putting 3 on at a time, it could like completely hinder the team. So what you need is a bit of experience as well, a bit of known quality alongside a kid or two. But yeah, I have to just see how it pans out, lads. But I'm not worrying, because I say there's always names getting thrown about. There's a reason. Agents are trying to get teams to buy their players. We're just not brushing them aside. Just hopefully there is. I think there's something. I honestly think there's something big lined up, but I really do. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping with Casado dragging his feet with Chelsea and that not quite going right. we might be interested in that, and that's what's holding it up. But in
To be
reality,
honest, I don't want Casado at all. I don't want him anywhere near the team.
I know loads are saying that because he spat his dummy out in that, but
Twice though,
no, but if he was spitting his dummy out to join us, we'd want him. So it's just a case of.
But at the same time, if we get him, 18 months time, Barca or Real come sniffing around, he spits his dummy out at us, then he's going to be that type of player, lad. It's going to be more. It's going to be detrimental. I just don't want him anywhere near the squad, lad. I think he's got the wrong attitude.
No, but if he said that about Luis Suarez and players like that, we'd never have a team. He's just trying to better himself now. He's ready to move on, and he's doing everything he can to get to a club that's going to make him a better player. And I get what you mean. If we get 3 years out of a player and then he wants to move on, as long as he's under contract, we can do what we want with him and tell him no, whatever. So I think for his ability, he's the best centre mid in the league in that role. We've got to be going for at least that level, if not that player, at least that level. And there's not many, so we're a bit stuck.
No. No, it's say, lad. I just don't think his attitude is right. I don't think Klopp would want him, to be honest, for his attitude like that.
That's part of the problem. There's a dickhead test, isn't he? Apparently, but to say if you go on that, there's players there like Suarez wants to go to Arsenal, was trying to go to Arsenal. Apparently, he's just told Gremio that he wants to go to America, doesn't he? Just constant.
Miami want him, don't him? It's
apparently he said
he'll back together.
Yeah, he'll pay to go. So there's players like that who are always trying to go to the next best place and do the next best thing for their career, and I understand it. He's got no love for Brighton. He'll have respect for them because they've made him a better player now, but he's ready to go to the next level. So I think if you look at the likes of Harry Kane, lads, Harry Kane's been so good about it, never thrown his toys out the pram, and now he's fucking stuck at Tottenham. He's never going to win a thing in his life.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying about Casado, lad, and I understand what he's doing, but as I say, I just don't think I can't see Klopp going for that type of player doing that kind of thing, because he's going to look at it and go, well, like I've just said, what's to stop him doing it in a year's time? Say we buy him and he has a great season, Real Madrid come sniffing around Barcelona, Bayern Munich, anyone like that, they come sniffing and he goes, well, I want to go, I'm not training. Klopp will just go, get the fuck then in a bit. Like Klopp's not going to stand for that.
No, I know, but it's like the likes of now, lads, with Lavia. If our next step is, right, 48 mil, Lavia put in a transfer request and he does it, and he's willing to do what Casado's done, isn't he? But we'll be like that, well in Lavia, because we want
No, he's not though, because I say Casado's, again, he done it in January. He said he wasn't turning up to training and stuff like that. He's done it now, saying he's not turning up to training. Lavia hasn't done that. Lavia's still gone in, trained, got on with his job. He was in the squad for their game on Friday. Didn't come on, which is why I think it's going to fucking get done, definitely. But he's still gone in and done his job. Like Casado is spitting his dummy out. He's throwing his toys out the pram. And he's refusing to go to training and to get a move. And it's like, that's not what you want. I don't want a player who's going to throw your team under the bus, essentially, just to get his own way.
I'll tell you now, if we could get him, I'd go and pick all his toys up and put them back on the pram and just say thanks for coming.
Well, that's where we differ then, I suppose. But no, I think Lavia gets done this week at some point. I say fourth bid's gone in now, so apparently anyway. Let's hope that is just fucking the one that gets accepted. We need it to be the 50 mil now. If he's the one we want, just fucking pay the money now. It's getting beyond a joke. If we throw a fourth bid in and that gets rejected, and then we're like, oh, Liverpool have put a fifth bid in, and then it's 49 mil, and a fucking curly whirly, and an Oasis ticket. You know what I mean? It's like, just pay the 50 mil at this point. Just get it done. But I think that gets done this week, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and like I've talked him down a bit, Lavia, and I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I'm not excited about signing him because I haven't seen enough of him. All I've seen of him really was him setting Jota up against them. I've seen him. Don't get me wrong, he had stages against us where he tore us up a little bit. But again, I don't think that's the player you need. I don't think you need a player who's going to go all Joe Matip on you, who's going to win the ball in the middle and end up at the edge of your box. I think that that affects us in a worse way, really. But we'll just see. I think obviously if we're going to offer the money for him and we want him, it's because they really want him. He's 19. They could turn him into an absolute beast, and it could be exciting in the future. But I think for now, 50 mil ridiculous. But obviously we want him. We want him enough to hopefully eventually pay it. So got to just back what the managers believes in.
Yeah.
And to be highly rated. Rumours PSG, United, City, Chelsea have been showing a bit more of an interest. And that's what I think that could be agency, that could be making us flap so we pay it. So just see where we go, lads. I think for me, when you know what these owners are like with the cash, I think 50 mil scares me paying it on a 19-year-old, because I think it indicates that we're not going to go and get a starting centre mid. But I think if we can get a body in there and a centre back, then we could be all right. But my main concern is the system more than anything.
The one I can't see happening is a centre back, to be honest with you. I think we get 2 midfielders in before the end of the window. I think, I don't know. I feel like he's not too concerned about the defence, which I think he should be. I think you're right. But I think when he looks at it, he's got, Van Dijk, Konate, Mata, Gomez, who I believe is a better choice at right back myself than centre back. Like I think we've discussed it before, when he's only got to focus on one player, when he's only got to focus on one thing at right back, I feel like he's better. I feel like he's more solid defensively when he hasn't got a bigger area to work in, if that makes sense. I think when he's just got that little space, that smaller space to work in, I feel like he's better. I feel like he feels like the attacking player, right? You've got nowhere to go here. I'm not letting you past. You've only got a small space to work with. You're not getting past. I feel like he's better. And he's worked on that side of his game as well, in terms of his passing, his crossing. That's improved immensely. We've seen some of the crosses he's put in. Even last night, he was putting a few good crosses in, which were, a little tiny bit too high, but they were quality balls. So I think he's a choice at right back, but I think I can see Quansah being involved in the season, to be honest with you. And I think that's where he's going to end up leaving it. Obviously, Reece Williams has gone out on loan. Nat Phillips is still there if he's going to be an option. Obviously, a deal hasn't materialised for him. It looks like, but at the minute he's still there, so he's an option. But I can see it being 2 midfielders myself, and that's it. I think that'll be us done then.
To be honest, as I say, Konate worries me because he's like a ball in a china shop. He just runs at the ball like a school kid sometimes. I don't think his positioning is great. I don't think he's got any control over himself. He sees the ball and he wants it. There's times where he's running towards their midfield area and leaves a space at the back. But again, he's only young, he'll learn. You've got to accept that. I think he's struggling with the whole system as well, where he's having to look after the centre position. And it's the same for everyone, to be honest. Van Dijk hasn't had a great 18 months. So you can't just slate these, but it's that whole position is whoever plays at the right, who's got to cover that right back, struggles. And it's not because they're shite, it's because the system doesn't help them. Whereas, as you said before, they might have went to the right and Henderson had sits in, so the job's a little bit easier. For Henderson, it goes to the right and they could remain where they were in the position. It's Konate, he's playing right centre back, right back. So's Matip, so's Gomez when he plays there. So it's impossible. Another interesting thing about yesterday was how we shift. Are you still there?
Yeah.
You look dead then. How we shift the tactics when Trent goes off and we stop that whole hybrid thing. You know what I mean? I think we looked at times going forward a lot better when we done that. I think so. That's interesting to see why don't we do that from the off?
No, we did. We just looked more comfortable, I think, at the back.
Just penetrating their box for 20-25 minutes when it happened.
But as I say, and that's because Gomez is there. He's sitting back more. He's not bombing up as often. It's a bit more like Robertson on the other side. Robertson gets up, but he gets back. I think Gomez.
It's a flat back four with the fullbacks a little bit elevated, a little bit further up the pitch. That the job is to get up, put the ball in the box, and then get back. And that's how we've had all our success. Obviously, there's been times where it's centre drifted a little bit higher up, but there's always been cover for him. Now it's a case of it doesn't look like he needs to get back at all. He's not playing in that role. But whoever the midfielder is, there must be someone meant to be covering him. They're not doing their job properly. But say only time will tell, lad. Won't know until we play a proper opposition at a proper level. Chelsea will be a proper test, but one we look forward to.
That's it. All right, so let's move it on then, and we had a couple of questions come in again. But before I get to them, actually,
go on. Before we get to them, can we speak about Ben Doak? Lad.
All right, yeah, fucking what a player.
I honestly swear to God, I've never seen the crowd was like a pantomime. I've said this. It was pathetic. There was people who've never been to a football match before. There's people who didn't get it, but they were there anyway. Fair play to them. They bought a ticket. When he came on and when he done his shit, there was people who were standing up in the seat, fucking gasping. I haven't that reaction from like the Suarez days when he'd do something and you'd just be like, oh my word, there was just people shouting, he's fucking special him. It was brilliant. It was electrifying, honestly. And to do that to a crowd like that, I can't wait to see him in a full-on field, lad, because to do that to a crowd like that I've literally gone to basically see the players and get a little feel for what it's like to go to the match, to get that reaction from people like that who aren't all that interested. A lot of them are safe, but not all of them. It was amazing, honestly. The crowd was standing up and he couldn't wait for him to get the ball. The senior player couldn't wait to give him the ball. And that's another thing. Don't see that all that often where you want to introduce the kid into play. It's just get the ball, give it to Doak. He is fucking unbelievable. He really is, lad. He's special. I can't wait to see him in the league.
No, I mean, like I say, we got a taste of him last season. We got a little glimpse of him, didn't we? And then he got his injury, which halted the season. But I mean, it hasn't affected him clearly. He's fucking hit the ground running in pre-season, and I think he's got a massive part to play this season. To be honest with you, I think the way he's played in pre-season, lad, I think he's given Klopp a bit of a headache. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's quite in contention to start at the minute, but he's not far off it. He's really not.
It's obviously a difficult task, isn't it? Because Salah's there, and Salah's one of the best players in the world. But I think use him right, use him for what he is. He's an absolutely world-class, dangerous impact player. World-class, maybe over the top at the moment. I'm just excited, but no, he's got everything, absolutely everything. He needs to work on his last little bit. His
final pass.
Crossing. Sometimes just crosses a little bit hard or a little bit over it, but fuck me, that'll come. You can teach that to anyone. What he's got is natural. Yeah. The way he literally just, you don't know where he's going to move. He's impossible to defend against. He is fucking brilliant. He really is. Like, I'm proper excited. The atmosphere died a little bit for the ones who were interested in the actual match and how we were playing. The atmosphere did die a little bit when they scored, and the fun had gone, sort of thing, because we were all pissed off that they'd scored, and it actually did like fucking wind a few people up that they'd scored, and then he came on, and it was just the buzz was back. Everyone was excited. It was people, honestly, lads, people were gasping.
Yeah,
he was just doing mad shit, and it weren't even nothing. Oh, he was just nothing that is out of the ordinary, but seeing him do it at that pace, seeing him do it at that age. When you just turned 17, hasn't he?
I don't know how old he is. I don't know if he's 17 or 18, but he's electric, lad. He's like, I think we said it last time. He's got that. He reminds you of Michael Owen. Like, he just picks the ball up, and he even against Bayern Munich, lad, he was spinning fucking senior international world class players for fun, lad. It's like it's scary, like.
He's so little. He's shot, like, we were watching him. We were right by where they train, and they were warming up, lad. Even the way he warmed up, he looked like, I don't want to sound like a fucking dickhead here, but I stopped watching the match a little bit to watch him, to just see what his attitude was like, a little bit of his body language, and he stood out even warming up. He looked like giving it a bit more than everyone else. He looked, you knew who he was. If you were to say which one of them's the senior player they're going to bring on, you'd go, there he is. And then he's not. He's fucking 17-year-old Ben Doak, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the way he gets the ball, he's got that messy vibe about him, lad, where he's so little and can control the ball that well. It sticks to his foot. He can lift past you. So obviously I'm getting overexcited, name dropping Messi, but he's got everything at such a young age, lad, to excite you into him becoming a brilliant player. Obviously, we've got to take it with a pinch of salt because it's only pre-season and he's only playing against majority shite, but then you just mentioned Munich. But yeah, integrate him into the last 10 minutes of a game, integrate him into the first team slowly, and let's see where he goes, and not put too much pressure on him, not expect him to do too much when he comes on, and just enjoy it when he does do it. But honestly, he's going to be dangerous. He's like a wild card for us there, I think. It's not. Definitely.
I think.
Not going well. I don't think. I've always said it, the likes of Raheem Sterling. I've never rated Raheem Sterling as a footballer. Never. Not when he was at Liverpool, not when he was at Man City, not when he's at Chelsea. He's a rapid player. Put Usain Bolt in his position and he'd probably do the same as him. You don't have to be technically gifted to tap the ball into the net. And he misses quite a few of them, to be fair. Ben Doak's different. Ben Doak's absolutely lightning quick, but he's brilliant with the ball at his feet. He's brilliant at finding space, brilliant at getting in positions, and he's brilliant at roasting defenders. That's all away from the box. So if he can improve on his way in the box, his last pass and his finishing, you've got a ridiculous talent coming on to win you the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a bit of he demands me a lot of shaky, I think, as well. He's little, but he's quite stocky. He's got that low centre of gravity. He's like, again, you never knew what to expect with Shaqiri either, I think. And I think that helped with him. I think Shaqiri was very two-footed and, you know, could do pretty much anything. But I think he's got that feel about him. But I don't know. It's a different type of excitement with him. You know, Shaqiri, we're very much getting sort of the finished article when we bought him, and he was a fantastic squad player. One we probably got rid of a little bit too early, in my opinion. But I think Ben Doak is just, as I say, he's got that mix of a Michael Owen in terms of how he's beating players, but I think he's also got that Shaqiri about him in the fact that he can beat the man, but he's got the strength to hold him off. He's special. That he's so good.
Yeah. What I love about him as well is he's a proper winger. He stays on the line, stays on the byline. He just hugs that line. There's a 40-yard ball got played into him, and his control, thinks it past the play, it's just quality. He's got a bit of everything, lad. And you could list a load of players he reminds you of already, but say Michael Owen to come in at 17, 18, as you say, and remind people of Michael Owen is interesting. Obviously, you've had players like Rossiter to get compared to Gerrard and shit like that, and it's never quite worked. But I've never seen a player like a pre-season up like him. I don't even think I've seen a senior player or a purchased player like pre-season up like him and excite us like him.
No,
I think for a new kid coming through, I think this is the most excited I've been ever.
Yeah,
that says a lot because we've had a few decent ones, but it's just something about him. He looks ready, and I can't wait to see him.
I just hope he's not another Grujic, and I mean that in the sense of when we had Marco Grujic, he was our best midfielder by a mile in pre-season, and then could never get a game for the first team. Like the one thing I always go back to with him was that header against Barcelona when we beat them 4-0. Like, but he was unbelievable in pre-season, and then we'd loan him out every year. And I just hope it's not the same with Ben Doak. Like, he's getting the chance to impress in pre-season, and then it's not going then on to a proper chance in the first team. Yeah, I don't think it is.
If he got loaned out, I'd fucking flip. I'd absolutely flip because he's dangerous. So even at this age, even if it's a case of 10 minutes here and there, I think he's dangerous. and we can only judge it when he comes on in the league and when he does play games. But even the likes of your League Cups and your Europa Leagues, if he was playing ahead of some of the senior players, you'd physically expect him to do something. You wouldn't see bent open the team and go, oh, not quite happy. You know what I mean? So I think, as I say, the reaction from the fans yesterday, I think it tells you enough about him. I don't think any player who's a young kid has, in the last 10 years, 20 years, has got a reaction like that. I really don't.
No. It's an exciting time for him. It's an exciting time for us. And more importantly, it just gives us another option, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you can never have too many, and especially these young lads, they're not taking up squad spaces because you don't have to register them when I think it's under 21. So it's a free it's a free reign essentially for them. They can feature as much or as little as Jürgen wants them to. It's a good experience for them, and even if they're getting named on the bench and not even coming on, it's just being around that team constantly is going to be massive for them.
Training with them every day, seeing what it's like to be a professional. When you're playing in the academy, it's not quite the same. You're at Liverpool, but you're not. When you're in that first team and you're mixing and you're rubbing shoulders with the likes of your Salahs and that and learning from them, you can only get better. You can only get hungrier.
Yeah.
I also, like you mentioned, Quansah there. I think he's in contention to be in the squad. Obviously, I don't think he'll make the bench quite yet because you've got your Matip and your Gomez and Canate. I think the three of them will be fighting for that spot, to be honest. But again, he's your option there.
Yeah.
I think there was a kid who come on left wing, Scanlon, I think his name was.
Scanlon, yeah.
48, I've never heard of him. He was spot on. He was doing the same as Dope, but in a less slick fashion. But he was
less explosive.
Yeah, he was he was getting the ball and holding it and then spinning and then he was like getting dragged and he weren't as explosive. Yeah, he weren't as fast, but tricky on the ball, good with the ball at his feet, good getting in behind. So there's players there, like they're in the pre-season for a reason. They're not there for a day out and they haven't won a competition. They're there because they've earned to be there.
Yeah.
They've merited. So that's credit to our manager that he looks at these kids and he goes, right, you might be ready, and then he'll judge it on. We'll see Chelsea, won't we?
That's it. Let's move on to these couple of questions we got then. Both from your little Jedi, who, if you remember from the last one, his question was fucking bit crazy, but fucking boss at the same time. And he hasn't disappointed. So, first one. So, I have to just tell it. It's like a story. So,
like a scenario.
Yeah, it's great. Jürgen calls. He tells you that the reason we don't spend a lot is because FSG have been putting all their profits into creating the time machine. Fuck.
You might be right.
I know, yeah, he probably is. Jürgen wants you, for some reason, to go back in time and bring back two former heads to play in the squad. Who are you choosing and why? And he's asked for you to leave the obvious ones like your Gerrards and your Torres and all that. He's asked for two, yeah. Yeah, bring back two former heads. So yeah, I'd say he's asked to leave the obvious ones out, Gerrards and players like that. So, have you, judging by you saying is it two, I feel like you've only got one.
No, because is this the 18-19 question?
No,
right. So bring back just two former heads from any time to play in Klopp's team.
Yeah. Sorry, no. The Gerrard bit was for the second one. You're right. I apologise.
Yeah.
So that was probably me confusing it.
Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard and Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
Again,
I think
it's always difficult because we've never had a team that plays the same way as Klopp. We've never had a team that plays with this system. So I'm fucking this system off and we're playing 4-3. And Suarez is going at the top. Salah's going on the right. And it's a team with Mane on the left as well. He's staying.
Okay.
And then Gerrard, Wijnaldum, and Henderson.
I'm trying to think of it more in the terms of this particular squad we've got at the minute, and I'm gonna go a different way with one of them. I'm gonna say Mascherano. I think because how desperately we do kind of need a number 6. I think we discussed it last time. He's the one who's going to sit there. He's going to fight for every ball. He's going to, if he needs to break someone's leg, he's going to break someone's leg. He's just that type of player. So I'm going to say him, and then again, I'm trying to be a bit different with it. I'm trying to think. I'm going to go. This one might be really fucking mad to some people, and it is a little bit to me.
I know who this is, Steve, right?
You don't. You really don't.
Go on.
I'm gonna say Steve Finnan, lad.
Oh no, fucking hell! I wasn't saying.
Just because I think we need someone who is more defensively minded at right back. And again, we've discussed Joe Gomez about how he can be left. You know, he makes up for a lot of his own mistakes with his pace and stuff like that. Trent doesn't like to track back at teams anymore, and I just think having someone like Steve Finnan there, lad, it would. You free Trent up then to go and have that proper role that he desperately wants, kind of thing. I just think he's probably the best right back I can remember for us in terms of defensive ability. I think
Steve Finnan.
Yeah, he was underrated to fuck, lad.
Steve Finnan was a bit more like Andy Robbo.
Yeah.
Where very similar. You didn't expect too much from him because of where we got him from. How much you paid him. Didn't expect the world of him. And he came in, and his crossing ability was brilliant, and his defensive ability was brilliant, and he always gave everything. So, yeah, it's a great one. They found him as well, haven't they? You went missing for about 15 years.
No, mad. But no, what a player. He was so underrated, but he was absolutely brilliant, like you say.
Yeah, he was.
But yeah, no, I just, because I thought that was the one where we weren't to go with the obvious ones, I thought of them like that, so... but still, I think they worked out. So he gave us another one.
We could have went further back. So you could like with that question, you could go Daglish or a Rush or a Souness. But obviously, we haven't seen the best of them. No. So it's harder
for us to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be talking out my arse, obviously, because I haven't seen them live. But from what I have seen in that holding role, I don't think you're ever going to get a better player than Souness ever. No. I think he was fucking dangerous, and he was a bit of everything. He was as good going forward as a Gerrard, brilliant, like a box-to-box midfielder. But he would fucking hate you for that ball. Even there's even videos of him when he's got the ball and he tackles people. He's fucking ruthless, mate. Brilliant nutcase, and that's what we need now. We need a fucking lunatic in that middle.
Yeah, definitely. Tackle, yeah, he's got the ball and he's tackling you. Fucking hell.
Well, there's an actual video of him when I think he plays for Rangers. He's got the ball at his feet, and this opponent comes near him and he stamps down his leg, and then he goes down holding his leg. It's fucking ruthless. Honestly, he's mad.
Fucking hell, what a guy. So he gave us another one, as I say. So he said, "I'll give you one more. Go back to the start of the 18-19 season. On the basis it wouldn't change a thing. Name one former Red player who didn't win as many trophies as they should have as a Red, that you'd re-sign so they could win it all." My pick is Xabi Alonso, he said. Obvious one is Gerrard, but again, we're leaving the obvious ones out.
The obvious two would be Gerrard and Carragher, and then I think other obvious ones, Torres, Suarez. So I've got two. I'm picking two. And one of them's Lucas Leiva.
Oh, yeah, great job.
One's Lucas Leiva because, again, he gave absolutely everything for the football club. Fucking run himself into the ground. He was the type of player who'd take a booking for the team. If it meant him missing games, he'd fucking miss games through injury for the team, through bookings, through red cards. He'd do for the team. Never had the easiest start. Didn't have the level of support he should have got throughout his career. But to me, in my eyes, an absolute legend. He overcome everything that come his way. He became a massive part of the team. And yeah, I wish we'd have had him so we could win a lot with us. My other one on the same level is Dirk Kuyt, because he's another one who would have liked to have seen. He was the working class hero, grafted his fucking arse off. He never got the credit he deserved. He scored some fucking ridiculous goals, but he was always that player that was never too good to work hard. He didn't see himself as any different than the others. He just grafted, and I think it would have been nice to see him get a few more.
Yeah, no, you're right, absolutely. I think you've gone with two, so I'll go with two myself. And the first one I'm going to say is Robbie Fowler. Kev, me mate from when I was in BT, he's his favourite player ever. He rants and raves about him at every opportunity, and I just think he's the most naturally gifted player we've had in my lifetime. I just think he was special. I think there was a time in his career, early days, sort of 21, 22, and he was arguably the best striker in the world. He was just phenomenal, and he's another one. He had a tough time with injuries towards the end of his Liverpool career and stuff, and I'm glad we got the chance to bring him back and have a sort of final proper goodbye in a way.
Amazing.
I just think Fowler he deserved to win everything with us.
It'd be great to see him with like a European Cup and a league title, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just
to be fair, he didn't do too bad in terms of trophies, but that European Cup and the thing going, the league title would have been, to be class.
Yeah. The other one I'm going to go with is Sami Hyypiä, and I think Sami Hyypiä was a Rolls Royce of a defender, and I don't think he got looked at in the same light as your Terrys and your Ferdinands and the players of that era in the same light, because we weren't as good at the time. But he was every bit as good as them, and I don't care what anybody says. He was absolutely unbelievable. And until Van Dijk come in, and it's still a question, I think even now, he was the best centre back we've seen in my lifetime. He was phenomenal, and as I say, he didn't get looked at in the right light. I don't think because Liverpool weren't what we are today. I think if he was playing in this team now, you'd be talking fucking Ballon d'Or contender without a doubt.
I got asked this question about Hyypiä, and I put him above Van Dijk because he's been so long, and because, as you say, he never played as well a good a team as Van Dijk. He never had that support as Van Dijk's had. Sami Hyypiä was absolutely exceptional. He was the one that changed our defending from conceding off set pieces all the time. Remember, he used to dread playing Everton because of Ferguson when he was fit, little fucking girl hands. But no, I think when he came in, the fear of conceding a corner, conceding a throw in by your goal, conceding a free kick near your goal, it went. He started heading everything out, and he started scoring goals as well from our own set pieces. I think Carragher had a lot more heart and a bit less ability than Hyypiä. At times didn't read the game as well. Hyypiä was very much like Van Dijk, where you never really seen him. Everything looked effortless with Hyypiä.
Yeah.
Whereas everything Carragher done was more like a Gomez. It was like fucking slogging his guts out to make the tackle or the block, and Hyypiä just seemed to ghost around and make it look dead easy. But yeah, I agree. I think Hyypiä's right up there. I have said in the past, I think if we go another few seasons and Van Dijk goes on to lift a few more trophies, then he'll go ahead of him. But for me, the time he was there, for the team that he played in, I think Hyypiä's above him.
Yeah, no, I'd say I can't disagree with it. To be honest, he was sensational. What a player. So yeah, thanks again for the great questions. You're always fucking thought-provoking these ones.
You just keep me going in my head, though, all the time. But I could have said him, and I could have said him.
So I asked you to think of a question for me, and I've got one for you. So I'll give you my one first, and I'm going to give you my answer. Yeah, no, but I'm gonna just so you, because it doesn't make sense in my head at the minute. But when I give you my answer, you might understand it a bit better. So my question for you is: go back to any season in the last, say, 10, 15 years. who's one player that you wouldn't have sold that would have made a bigger impact in that season, in that particular season? So for me, my answer to that is Crouch in the 08-09 season. I think if we would have kept Peter Crouch that season, not signed Robbie Keane, I think we would have. I think we would have I think we would have went on to win the league that year. I think Peter Crouch was just. I never wanted to get rid of Peter Crouch anyway. I thought he was fucking brilliant. I loved him, but I think Robbie Keane never fitted the system properly. Wasn't Benitez didn't want him, which is why. And then we sold him after 6 months and didn't replace him. I think that just derailed us a little bit, and I think Peter Crouch wouldn't have got that, and I think Peter Crouch would have been a bit of a game changer, especially coming off the bench.
So I remember when we got linked with Crouch, and I was fucking livid. And we were paying like 16 mil for him or something. I was like, why are we buying this lad? He's an absolute crab. And then when I think he scored his first goal against Wigan.
Yeah.
And it was the maddest goal. Like it just looped in the air, like a fluke, ricocheted, looped the keeper, and everyone. It was like a Nunes. As soon as that went in, the crowd were on our side. We all wanted him to do dead well. The way he connected with the fans and that. I love Crouch, and I think he had more ability than he's ever had credit for. Absolutely phenomenal on his day. That hat-trick against Arsenal, left, right, and header. Quality. I think for me the obvious ones were Ronaldo. I think he still has not been replaced. I think we take City all the way. I think we could possibly win the quadruple if Ronaldo's in that team. So I'll go with Ronaldo. Another one was Yossi Benayoun.
Yeah.
Then we got rid of him because Benitez just hated his guts. Remember us playing it? I think it was Atletico Madrid, and Benitez got booed because we took him off. I think he scored, we took him off, and apparently, so we've read, it was that game. Benitez said to him, "You won't play for us again," because he got booed. And that we got knocked out. That was the semi-final to go to Berlin, I think, for the Europa League.
Oh yeah.
And we never done anything. I think he was Ivy Mark Benayoun is calling like a David Silva, can unlock a defence from anywhere on the pitch. Brain above anyone. His little wobbly legs doing step overs that look weird. But he was so tricky, so clever. And I think he's another one that I think if we'd have kept him a bit longer, we'd have won a few more things.
Yeah, he was very, very underrated again. Was never really appreciated, but he popped up at important times and, scoring a winner in the Bernabeu.
I was there. Woo.
Like getting I think he scored a hat-trick when we beat in the 8-0 against Besiktas. But he was a sort of more technical Dirk Kuyt in the sense that he'd always pop up with the big goal. He gave 110%. He was a hard worker, but I think he was better technically, as I say, than Dirk Kuyt. But he was that ilk of player, and I think we had a lot of them at the time, and I think a lot of the players from that time, you go back to that question of players you bring back to win a lot. I think there's a lot of that sort of from 2007 to like 2009-10. There's a lot of them players that you could say, I'd bring him back.
I think it's Rafa's just had personal vendettas against certain people. I think it was it Rafa who got rid of Danny Murphy?
Yeah, but that was at the very start when he first joined.
Yeah, no, because I was watching a thing with Danny Murphy today, and I think it was Rafa, and he said he couldn't bear him, couldn't stand him. He said the way he'd done it was just dead cold. Said, "You're not playing, don't want you, go," basically. And whereas he said with Gerard Houllier told him, go to Crewe. So Ipswich come in for him. And he said, and he wasn't doing it at Liverpool. He said he'd started going on the island, that with his mates and being a really big balls and stuff like that. And Gerard Houllier said, you can go on loan. And he said, I'm going to Ipswich. He said, you're going to Crewe, where he came from. So he said he had to go to Crewe because Gerard Houllier made him. And when he come back, he said, that was your test. If you just said no to Crewe, you were getting sold.
Yeah,
and he came in and obviously became a vital part of it. And I think the man management of people, Benitez didn't like you were gone. Benitez walked in the door, like, you're gone. She like, don't even speak to me. See you later. And I
I
think
think that's just. I think it's just a different,
a different way of managing.
backgrounds and different way of management. Pep Guardiola is very much the same from
It's cold.
from the outside looking in. Pep Guardiola seems the same. It's like, okay, yeah, I've had look at Cancelo. Look at Cancelo, lad. He was starting first half of last season. He's then decided, you know what, you're not good enough in a bit. Go to Bayern. Like it's that ruthlessness, and it's the one thing people have said Klopp needs to have a bit more of, and we've kind of seen it this summer.
He does lack it though. He does lack that. Like he wouldn't get you. To be fair, yeah, he has done it this summer, but I don't think it's all been his choice.
No, I don't.
I think Henderson and Fabinho going has fucking shocked him to the core, to be honest. And it's left us a bit unstuffed. But no, people say about Shankly and Paisley. Shankly didn't have it in him. He made Paisley do it. Paisley was the one who had to go and tell everyone they weren't playing or they were going. And Shankly had just plod on, Mr. Nice Guy, until he had to be absolutely ruthless.
Yeah.
But yeah, sound. So my question would be, if you're forced into replacing Jurgen Klopp, which manager from the past are you putting in his place to manage this team?
From the past, so doesn't have to be like a former Liverpool manager. Then
Liverpool player.
Former Liverpool manager.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
can't be too nice.
I'd probably. I don't know. It's an hard one because I don't think. It's probably gonna have to be. I'd have to say probably Paisley, and I think. Sorry, no, not Paisley. I'd have to say Shankly, and I think just because it's only between them two in my head, and I think the only reason I'm saying Shankly is because I think the transition from us losing Klopp to the next manager is going to be enormous. I think it's going to be bigger than we've ever seen in our lifetime. And I think, Shankly, when he come in, we were second division, weren't going anywhere, comes in, completely transforms the club. And I think, then Paisley comes in, carries on his good work. I think we'd need someone to start it all over again, restart the revolution, rather than continue it, you know what I mean? So I think Shankly would be better averse to restarting the revolution, whereas then it'd be the same situation. Let Shankly do his work for 5 or 6 years, let the building blocks be put in place for Paisley to then take over and dominate. And I think that's what we'd need at that time after Klopp.
Yeah, it's a good point that, whereas I'm on the other scale where I think he's laying foundations that hopefully continue for many years and we can compete at the top. Actually, see how we go this season. I'd probably say Kenny Dalglish. I'd put Kenny Dalglish in. His man management, brilliant. Put his arm around players, but ruthless at times. I think he'd go to a basic, old-fashioned, modern system and get the best out of some of the players. I think he'd end up with centre midfield. And I think he'd play a simple, like 4-4-2. And it'd be like the pass and move to the Liverpool groove with this team under Kenny Dalglish. I think he'd concentrate a bit more on the defending as well, and make sure we were an absolute unit. So yeah, I'd love to see Kenny Dalglish in charge of a team like this.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting. I assume you mean in like late 80s, early 90s, Kenny Dalglish, and not late 09, early 2010s.
Dalglish. Dalglish, fucking hell, mate. He made that team get to 2 finals. They had no hope in the world. He went and won a cup at Wembley. I was there. But even that, people have got something in the DNA that they just make things work. He's come back at fucking in his 50s, possibly 60. He's come back and Kenny Dalglish's manager at Liverpool, and you're at Wembley again. It's fucking mad. How does that even happen, lad? Your team's fucked. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, gone from being in a relegation battle and getting beat by Northampton to winning a cup at Wembley. It's mad.
Yeah.
Like I say, people have just got Kenny. That, haven't you?
Yeah, but no, I think whatever team he had, see, obviously the great games against like the likes of Man United with Suarez, them games, they're some of the best games we've had. They're under the Kenny. And I think, again, we probably defensively at one of our best. Defensively, we were a unit. Don't think we conceded that many goals under Kenny. And then going forward, obviously, it depends on the players you've got. But going forward, we were an absolute unit again. He had a good mix of hard working players. I know we made a few mad signings, like Stuart Downings and that. But
Charlie Adam.
I think Stuart Downing, I think he signed Charlie Adam because he was Scottish, lad, to be honest. He wanted a mate. One who could fucking understand him to tell the players. And do you make him captain at one point?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know. But no, I think he had that. They old fashioned. He had work because Charlie Adam grafted. Like, to be fair, even now, like Everest Chicken, which wasn't good enough. But he had players who grafted, who knew the importance of work rate and working for each other. And then he had sheer quality, and he had a defensive unit. So yeah, King Kenny.
I like it.
All the way.
I like it. Good answer. Well, look, again, it's been fun. And the season's just around the corner now. So let's hope we've got a number 6 in before Sunday at least.
He's done well keeping that to half an hour, didn't he?
Half an hour doesn't exist in our podcast lad anymore. No, but you know what? It's been fun. As always, thanks to everyone who's continued to listen and support us. The response over the last few weeks has been really good. So again, just thank you and let's keep it up. But for now, up the Reds.
Up the Reds.